I've never given up, and I think that never giving up is part of the learning from realising that you're not always going to get the rub of the green. It's not always going to go right for you, but if you keep digging away, keep persistently knocking at the door, you'll get there.
The one thing I learned. Lessons for life.
Welcome to the One Thing I Learned podcast, where every week I speak with someone inspirational or who I've worked with on my journey through life, asking them what is the one valuable lesson they would pass on to their younger selves or their children or the next generation. And in this episode, I'm speaking with Shawsy, Big Simon Shaw, rugby legend. We've known each other since the 2009 British and Irish Lions tour, which I was filming as a documentary filmmaker, and a cameraman, and he was one of the players who had one of the best tests against the Springboks anyone has ever seen. We've been good mates ever since. We're regularly in touch. He lives in Toulon. He speaks French, and he's learned loads of lessons worth learning, and I can't wait to hear his today.
One of the key lessons I learned from my dad, well, there's a couple. Life's not fair, which is the one that's always stuck with me, but the other one is don't believe everything you read, and I would add to that, don't believe everything you read.
No, you get one.
Oh,
one.
Really?
The one thing you learn.
Oh, God. I can't say don't believe everything you read here and
Well, you can, but it's called the one thing I learned, and if you do two, then it doesn't work.
Let's bring it back to... Yeah, well, life's not fair. I think teaches you very early on that you're never going to get everything you want. Luck's not always going to land on your side, but with perseverance, with grit, with determination, you can overcome pretty much most hurdles. It's believing that you're always a victim that is a major problem, I think, more so in society today than it ever has been. So I'd say to my kids, and it's not a message to toughen up or anything like that, it's just to say, these obstacles are going to be around every corner. So learn to adapt, learn to navigate ways around the obstacles or over the obstacles, and rather than see them as terrible things, try and treat each one of those as a lesson, an opportunity to learn, and I guess discover the opportunity that lies within. So I've got 4 kids. I've just hit 50.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Although I tried to bypass it without anyone knowing, but a few people found out, unfortunately. But I had 4 teenage kids. One's just turned 20, so I now have 3 teenage kids and 1 20-year-old. If I'm perfectly honest, I could see into the future and could see how challenging and problematic parenthood could be. And I didn't actually want any kids. I've ended up with 4. And I think, despite the fact that I love them dearly and they bring me an immense amount of joy, I don't think I ever anticipated the difficulties of raising a family, but teenagers. The teenager part in particular is the toughest thing I've ever had to go through, to be honest. And they're good kids, so be warned, if you've got some rotters, then it's going to be 10 times worse.
Okay, so life's not fair. How did you learn that lesson, do you think? Was there a turning key moment, or was it just a continual thing from your father? I
think it was just it was relentless. It was reiterated to me every time I got sent off playing football or didn't get picked in whatever sports team or it didn't matter what it was. His answer was quite simply, suck it up. Life's just not fair sometimes. Deal with it. And that's probably, an attitude that was of that time. I think we've gone far too far the other way. in trying to be overly positive and supportive of our kids to a point where they've been slightly mollycoddled and overly supported and spoilt in effect, and I've definitely done that with mine, and so a bit more tough love is probably what I should have done, and I am now actually sort of changing my mindset and attitude towards them now, which is maybe too late, hopefully not.
Yeah. And do you think there's a time where that's really, you learned that lesson, growing up? Has there been a time where you really had to use that lesson for yourself?
In my life?
Yeah.
I think because it stuck with me from very early on. It was drilled into me. I'd never seen anything as probably the size of the problem it was at the time, because I always thought, get on with it, do something about it, don't dwell on it, and so that's, I think, my dad's attitude probably worked well for me. Now it's not necessarily going to work well for everyone, but now I see my kids growing into adults and having more adult responsibilities. I see them falling back on my, what do I do, Dad? What do I, and I've probably not given them enough space to make mistakes and make errors and learn from those errors. I've probably supported them too often, too many times, so they now keep coming back to me for the answers, and it's realising that they are potentially on their own in a couple of years' time or a year's time, or for my 20-year-old now, I can't be there on every occasion, and they need to work it out for themselves. So it's it's probably just dawning on me, obviously.
Yeah. And do you think that sort of attitude has helped you in your professional life?
Without a doubt, yeah. I think a lot of the challenges that as a sportsman, not just retiring, but getting injured, not getting picked, all the challenges of elite sports, if you can move on quickly and address the issue quickly, you're better equipped. And certainly I think part of my longevity in sport and not sort of, you see a lot of people not just retiring from sport through injury, you see a lot of people sort of almost giving up on sport because they feel like the moment's passed them by. To play for England or the Lions, and I've never given up, and I think that never giving up is part of the learning from realising that you're not always going to get the rub of the green. It's not always going to go right for you, but if you keep digging away, keep persistently knocking at the door, you'll get there.
The One Thing I Learned podcast. One guest, one story, one lesson every week. Kind of lesson that stays with you. Not advice, not noise, just something true. Something gathered on the way. Something worth passing on. Listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And at theonethingilearned.com. Produced by Amelia Clement. Music by Benjamin Hallway from Stamp Productions.